It's never about me. This is one of the things you have to learn, is that your usefulness to society is in how many problems that you solve.
So one of the things I definitely want to cover with you is, because you have a team.
Yeah.
You do some amazing stuff over at Men of Action and some of the other projects that you work on. And my story of getting into the corporate world and things right out of the military was because I had the amazing support of a military veterans group,
Sure.
Nike. So my first job out of the military was Nike. And I got that because I met somebody, Charles Leverton, who was the head of the Nike military veterans group. And he got me an interview, and he did like a resume review with me, and he really made sure I was prepared to be corporate, which is so freaking different than being in the military, right? And to your point earlier, you can't be an 11 Bravo grunt, infantry guy, I know how to put back together an M16.
If you're an 11 Bravo and then you transition to become a personal trainer, I can see that. That might work. Or even a jiu-jitsu instructor. There's a transition that will work there.
Yeah.
But the other things, like I need to code in Python. This is not a good transition.
So what would you, if you were talking back to yourself when you first got out, what would you tell yourself now are the main things to think about when you're going into an interview and preparing yourself, like your resume and all of that? What do you need to have ready to go?
Yeah, so I'm always, whenever I do interviews, like I'm interviewing Jeremy Miner on Friday, and then Mystery, Eric von Markovic, I'm interviewing him on Monday. I want to know more than anyone who's ever interviewed them. So I try to be really sharp. This happened because I did a military pre-brief from when I went to instructor upgrade, and I got embarrassed. I went on stage and I did not know what I was fucking talking about. I barely knew anything, and it was really bad. Everyone looked disappointed in me. I was like, this will never happen to me again. I did 12 hours of studying on the fucking pneumatic system in a KC-135. I knew that plane backwards and forwards, how the entire hydraulic system worked, the fuel lines, everything. And I decided to treat all of my interviews the same way. And so it's different because you're asking about a job interview, but it's kind of the same. I've never gone to a job interview where I didn't get the job. Whenever I would go in, I would know more than almost anybody that had been in there before, and I would be able to solve problems that they had. And never at any point did I say, I would feel really great if you guys hired me. It was never about me. I think this would really help my family if I worked here. It's never about me. This is one of the things you have to learn, is that your usefulness to society is in how many problems that you solve. You are paid in linear proportion to the complexity of the problem you solve. That's what Elon Musk said. So that's what I try to learn, is like how much, I would try to do that as far as a transition. The number one thing I would tell people when they get out, though, is get addicted to audiobooks. In fact, do it while you're in the military. Get addicted to audiobooks and like figure out what your skill set is going to be when you're out. And here's the thing. If you can keep the level of discipline, the ability to delay gratification, the accountability that you have, these other skill sets you can learn. Like, you guys can actually learn how to code for AI. It's not as difficult as you think. You can learn how to do some of these things, but because you have the discipline to learn how to sell real estate or sell solar or whatever the job that you look for when you get out of the military, if you're going to notice that you have a level of discipline and accountability that a lot of your competitors don't have. You'll notice that. My PA is an Army captain. My personal assistant. So like, he used to be an Army captain until he got out. We hire a lot of former military guys to work for us. We have 3 F-18 pilots that are in right now. And so that's one of the common things that we have, because we all kind of get it. Does that make sense? If something goes wrong, we're there to help each other, but at the same time, we hold each other accountable, and then no one's offended. That's another thing you're going to find is that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about this for sure. Yeah. Offense. Tell me all about it. I got to hear it.
So there's one issue that I have, and by the way, with my girlfriend too, is the issue that, like, when I give her constructive criticism, she doesn't understand that it's coming to her at zero. There's no emotion, and it's totally dispassionate, because she was never part of a military unit. She doesn't understand. It's like, you suck, nice boots, you suck. Like, they don't understand this is what you go through. Initially, when you go through any kind of basic training or OTS or whatever, they beat you down so that the part of doing this, I think there's 2 parts. One is to pick out who the narcissists are, and so they don't want these people in your unit. But the second reason why I think they do it is to get you fully acclimated to taking criticism at a 0. And I learned how to do that. I do a sales call. I do a call with my sales team every Thursday at 3. And when I do the call, the first thing I ask is, what did I fuck up this week? What objections did what objections did my podcast create for you that I can get rid of? And I've gotten to the point where I've got good at not creating extra objections, but that's something I do, and I look for this criticism. other people in my life, including my family members, my mom, my girlfriend, I'm not saying they can't accept criticism, but they're not as good at it as what we were in the military, where it was like, hey, what you did was unsatisfactory. You know, if I didn't shoot expert with my M9, then I didn't shoot expert. It's like there's no feelings involved. And so that was one of the things. The ability to take constructive criticism is another massive thing that you leaving the military, you're going to have a massive advantage over your competition because you're not going to take things personally.